So, firstly, in order to practice, this PySpark, okay, what do you need? You need a account, right? So, how do you go ahead to create the account? As I mentioned, so you have to you have to sign up to this community.cloud.databricks.com. Okay. First, you have to do the sign up. How do you do the sign up? I already showed you. So, community edition sign up. So, you have to type in community edition sign up. So, once you type in, so just click on this. Okay, it's a documentation. So, just click on the second link. So, it will open the window to sign you up. Okay, just give a minute. Uh, just it will open that. Okay. So this is the page that you have to get. So you have to type in your details and click on continue. So here you have to choose Microsoft Azure instead of Amazon, Google Cloud Platform. So you have to choose Microsoft Azure. After you choose that, you have to click on get started with the community edition. Okay. So it will basically try to validate whether you have this account already or not. If it is not, then it will try to create that. Okay. So I got a warning saying that we cannot create an account with the email address you have provided because if you have used this email in the past, right? So that is what you have to do. So let me know if you face any issues while creating this. I will help you out tomorrow. So now after I create my account, I will be logging into the community account. So I will use my email ID and password. So once you sign up, you will get a link to your mail ID. Once you click on that, you will be able to reset your password. After resetting your password, so you will be entering into this Databricks Community Edition. This is for free and this is for 14 days. For practice purpose, you can use. Once this is over, you can create one more account. Okay. So for every 14 days, this account will be useful. And most important thing is, as I told you, if we go to the compute, so within this, you have to create the cluster, right? Cluster is useful to run our notebooks. Without cluster, we are not able to run it. So cluster means we will be depending how much memory is required and also how many cores are required to process that particular transformations. So uh, when you compare to the organizational account, it looks the UI will be little different. So if you look at my organizational account, so if I log in into this, so there will be some limitations. Okay, there will be some limitations. So I will log in into this. So if I go to this Azure Databricks, Azure, like this is a workspace that I created. So if I go to this, the UI will be little different. Since this is my organizational, I have created with my company account. So I will be having uh, different UI. See, I am getting lot many options. If you observe in the left side pane, I am getting so many options, right? So that is the difference. Community edition is just for practice purpose. If you look at it, so we have a very few options, right? Right hand side. So that is the difference. So don't get confused. If you create the trial account, Azure trial account, and you are trying to use this, that will be little different. But if you create community edition, the options will be little different. Okay. So always say the most of the options that we have are same, but there are some extra features that we will get, more features that we'll get with our organizational account. Okay. So that is the difference I want to show you. Okay, once you log in, I want to use PySpark as a programming language to write some transformations. So there are a lot of transformations that we can apply using PySpark. So that we will see one by one, depends on our requirement. Now, so what exactly is a kind of a PySpark? So PySpark is a kind of a library. Okay. So it's a library which is written on top of the Python, right? So it will be using the same features or capabilities of the Python. So we can run up. So what is the advantage of PySpark is? So we can run applications parallelly on the distributed cluster. I mean, the distributed cluster means, so in the cluster, we will be having different nodes. The workload will be divided into different nodes and also executors. All right. So that is about the PySpark. So within the PySpark, within the PySpark, for suppose, just go here. I am going here. So I want to create a notebook. So how do I create? Just go to my user tab and click on new. So I will be able to create the notebook. I will be able to create the notebook. Now, what is table in the general SQL terminology? What is table? Table. What is table will have? Table will have the rows and columns, right? So like that, instead of table, here in the PySpark, we call data frame. What it is called? Data frame. So data frame, the definition of the proper definition of the data frame is, data frame is a distributed collection of data organized into named columns. Okay. Data frame is a distributed collection of data organized into named columns. Organized into named columns. So this is the definition. I mean, this is more like a relational table. So in the table, we will have the columns and rows. In the data frame also, we will be storing the columns and the rows. Right? Columns and the rows. And one more different, this is a similarity. The difference is, once you created the table in the SQL, if you want to modify the data type of the particular column, you can alter that using the alter script, right? If you want to delete one column, or if you want to, kind of insert data into it. So that those are all things that you can do. But for suppose your data frame has three columns: ID, name, and the gender. Assume like these are all the three columns that you have in the data frame that is created. Now, I want to go and change the data type of this particular columns. On top, within the data frame, DF, we call it as data frame. So, I want to change the data type of this particular columns. Is that possible? No. We are not able to go and modify the anything, structural or anything. We can't do anything on the existing data frame, right? So this is called as kind of a immutability. So data frames are immutable. Immutable means we are not able to modify the data frame once it is created. We are not able to alter anything. What is the alternative for it? But if you want to change the data type of this, so what you have to do? You have to create another data frame, right? Using this existing data frame, and you have to apply the transformations. So you can, if you want to modify anything, the alternative is modify that, alter that, and store it into another data frame. But you are not able to modify within the same existing data frame, right? That is a limitation when we compare to the table in the relational database, right? In the SQL Server. So that is the difference between our SQL Server table and as well as the data frame, right? So and so we can manually insert the data into the data frame, or we can also extract the data from either files or table or anything that we can do within the Azure Databricks environment, within the notebooks, right? So data frames, so how we will get the data? So we can either manually write the scripts, or we can directly import the data from the file, right? So this is a little background about the data frame. Now coming to one more concept that you need to know is, so as I mentioned, this Databricks is built upon Spark engine, right? So somehow we have to use, tell that, okay, use that Spark engine. So to execute, execute all the commands that we have written, all the commands that we have written. For example, for suppose uh, everything that we write, if you want to execute anything, any command, so we will write the commands like spark dot and the commands. Spark dot command. So spark is a kind of a entry point. Spark is a command, is a kind of a entry point for anything. If you want to execute any command, before that you have to specify, you have to create a Spark session. You have to create a Spark session, right? So if you have to discuss some theory part, so how, I mean this, what is this Spark session is? So before Spark 2.0, before Spark 2.0, so we used to use SC dot some commands, whatever it may be that you want to execute. So the full form of the SC is Spark context. Spark context. So what is meant by Spark context? Spark context is nothing but, so you are telling this Databricks that, so use the Spark architecture, use the capability of the Spark, and try to divide that workload into different executors, right? So that's why you have to either specify SC or Spark before you write any command, that we will see very soon. So before 2.0, the Spark 2.0, before it got upgraded, so we have the concept called as Spark context. So what as I told you, Spark context, how we'll specify using the sc dot and the commands that you want to execute, right? So Spark context means, so within it, so we can use the Spark context. We can not only Spark that we'll use, right? Kind of PySpark. So we will be executing the SQL commands. So for that we have to use the SQL context, and we'll be having some Hive tables. So we have to use some kind of a Hive context. And if we want to read the streaming data, so we'll be using that streaming context. So all these things that we will use to use separately before 2.0. Before 2.0. So if you want to execute PySpark commands, you have to import this Spark context. And if you want to execute SQL commands, you have to import this SQL context. And if you want to play something with the tables in the Hive, that we will discuss in future. So that we will be using this different context before 2.0 version. But after 2.0 version, so all are combined within a single Spark session. If you use Spark dot command, so this will include all the context like Spark context, SQL context, streaming context, and Hive context. All are included within this single Spark session. So to start with, okay, we will see how we will create how we will create a data frame using this Spark session. So to start with, first thing is, so df is equal to data frame. You can give any name. It's not only df. So I can write like Spark dot. So what I want to do, I want to create a data frame with some values. Spark dot create data frame. Spark dot create data frame. See, so this command create data frame is a command. But before that, what we are specifying? We are specifying, okay, this is the command that, okay, it should be using the Spark architecture. That's why we are creating a Spark session using this Spark dot create data frame. Spark dot create data frame, right? So after that, so you want to create a data frame with some values. So how can I specify? Open and close bracket. So here, uh, after this, so you have to specify some values. Okay, just open and close the parenthesis. This is called as set. This is called as set. So then we'll discuss, if you can go through some Python basics, so you will understand what is set and what is tuple. But if needed, we will discuss the Python basics also. So this is kind of a set. So here I want to define some values. Values might be anything. So I can specify Python, right? So 2023 or something, comma. You want to specify one more value, uh, maybe PySpark. This is also kind of 2023, something like that. You can display it, right? So now you want to execute this command. So here you can click on run to execute this command, or you can click on shift plus enter to execute this command, right? So I can click on shift plus enter. So it is asking me to attach a cluster. So attach a cluster. In your organizational account, you can choose the existing cluster and you can use that. But in the community edition, so every time you have to create a new cluster. You can click on create new resource and create, attach and run. So it will take some amount of time to create the cluster, and then so on it will execute. And next time onwards, you need not to create the cluster. And don't forget to terminate the cluster once you are done because it is very costly. So your community edition may not work. So that's why you have to be very careful about this cluster. So let's wait until a minute to start this cluster and execute. The Zoom might be disconnected in the middle. So just rejoin if it is disconnected. Okay. After maybe 15 or 20 minutes. So let's wait until this cluster is started and then we will. Yeah, now it is started. So the green bar. So it is the command is running at the moment. See, at the moment, so it is showing like there are no columns that we have defined. Just we pass the values, right? So this is a data frame that is first data frame that we have created with two of the rows, right? So I want to see the content of the data frame. So we can use if you want to see the the schema. So you have to use the command like print schema command. You have to see the df dot print schema. Df dot print schema. Just click on shift plus enter. So it will display you by default it is displaying underscore one underscore two because we have not defined any columns. So we will create just now. So and once you observe, PySpark is intelligent enough to define the data types. Are we defining any data types over here? Python is a text, is a string. It is defined. And we have defined the numerical value. So it is by default, it is detected as long. Right? And we have not defined anything, whether it is nullable or not nullable. By default, nullable equal to true. Right? So this is a kind of a simple data frame. If you want to see, so this is a kind of column information. And if you observe, first letter should be small and so on. If you write any number of words, the starting letter should be caps. If you don't use this, it is case sensitive. Okay, you have to follow the standards. See here also, I am using print, then after I am using caps for every word, right? So if you don't use the caps over here, okay, it will fail. So just click on run. It will fail saying that it is unable to find some keyword or something, attributes or something. See, Spark Session object has no attribute, create data frame. It is not able to recognize this command if you put it small. So that it is case sensitive. Case sensitive means you have to exactly define the first letter should be small and so on. If you write any number of words, it should be in caps. Right here also the same thing. And I want to see the data. So how can I get that? df dot show. You have to define as df dot show. df dot show will basically give you return the data. The first statement df dot print schema will give you the columns and df dot show will give you the data along with the columns, full along with the columns in a tabular format. If you see, this is a kind of a tabular format, right? Columns and the rows, right? So this is one thing that you have to notice. Now, I want to define the columns also. I want to define the columns also. So how can I do that? So within the same, uh, I want to I want to modify this little bit. I want to define the meaningful columns. So how can I do that? So I will just go here. So what I do, I will basically try to copy paste this. Which one? Until this, I will copy paste. So this is the data, right? Data is equal to, or you can keep like sample data. Sample underscore data equal to this, and sample underscore columns. We will be defining the columns now. Same. So columns, square bracket, open bracket. So you can keep like course name or something, right? Course name. You can define like year, in which year you are learning, something like that. Anything. Now, if you observe, we have written the, we have defined it two sets, sample data and sample columns. Unless you write a Spark command, this will not execute, right? This will execute, but you will not get any output. You will not get any output, right? So now I want to create a data frame using this Spark session, Spark dot create data frame. So data is equal to this, right? So I want to use the pass the data from this set and schema. You have to use the keyword like schema is equal to sample columns. Sample columns. You have to use this syntax. Now what it will do? This schema will be appended to this rows and it will be giving the, it will be creating the data frame with these columns and the data. And if you write df.show, you will see the definition of this particular data frame. The first column that we have defined is the course name. Course name is Python. And year in 2023, right? So that is how we can create the data frame with columns as well as the data along with it. So this is the syntax. If you want to, usually we don't create the data frame manually. So in our practice purpose, we are using this, but we always import the data from the file. We never manually create the data frame or table, file or a table, both. But these are all basic commands that we need to do before we go and discuss about the advanced concepts. Now, okay, we know like uh, how to create the these ones. Now, for suppose if you have 100 values, you have assume like you have specified 100 like more than 20 or something. So I am defining some duplicate data, PySpark 1, something like that, or PySpark 2, PySpark 3, PySpark 4, 5, 6. So I can copy paste this. Assume like I have more than 20 rows. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 15, 16. Okay, more than 20 rows are there. Just try to execute this again. So how many rows are returning? It's like almost only showing 20 top 20 rows. Correct. So what we are doing, we are you if you want to see the data of the data frame, so here what command we are using? df.show. But if you use the df.show command, you will be able to see only top 20 rows. It is clearly showing here. df.show will return only top 20 rows. So if you want to see more rows, so you have to write a command. You have to modify this command like this. df.show truncate is equal to false. Truncate is equal to false. So how to comment this code? Just use the hash. So if you use the hash, it will not execute again. So just click on shift plus enter. So it will show you all the it should show all the rows actually. So it's still returning how many rows? You dot show. Ideally, this if you use the truncate is equal to false, it should show more than 20 rows, but still it is displaying as only showing top 20 rows. Okay, I will check that. I will let you know why it is showing like this. But yeah, just remember this. So we have this option. So df.show and truncate is equal to false. I will check and let you know. Ideally, it should show it. So df.show and truncate is
Can you check how many data we have passed? How many rows
sorry,
of data we have passed in that?
sorry.
Maybe it's 20.
Uh, it more than
Can
that
you try?
actually. 1, 2,
We'll
3,
see.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. It's more than 20 only. Okay. Uh,
Okay.
df dot show. So ideally this command should display all the rows. Maybe is there any limitation because of trial account? I am not sure, but this command should work to display all the rows from the data frame. Okay, not only top 20 or 30, it should display all the rows. Okay, so but I will check and confirm. Okay, why it is not displaying. Okay, so that I'll be discussing in the next session. But just remember this command. Now, this is the kind of a basic creation of the data frame. So, can we define our own columns, right? Sorry, our own data types. Right now, if you just type in like df dot print schema, df dot print schema. If you just execute this, PySpark only it is recognizing that itself, it is recognizing the data types. Ideally, this is we are thinking that this is the year, but what it is taken as kind of a log. Okay, I want to display as an integer. So you know the data types, right? Int and begin. So here it is called as log it. So it is equal to the begin. So it is taken as log. But I want to make it as an integer. I want to make it integer. Or I want to make it as a date. I want to display some date value. I want to define the data type first. And then I want to go and insert some data. I want to insert some data into the data frame. So That in order to do that, in order to play with that, so we have the commands like struct field and struct type, struct field and struct type. So what are all, how we can use that? That we will see now. Now, for suppose I want to define a schema. Okay, same schema that we are discussing. So here you have to use the keywords like struct type, as I mentioned, struct type, struct type of. So here open and close brackets. Here you have to define the close and open parenthesis, the set, and then so here you have to use the keyword called as struct field. Struct field. Struct field. So within this, so you can define, we can define the columns and the data type using this syntax. Now, so I want to define the maybe first name, and there are data types in the PySpark. So if you want to define the string, you have to use the keyword like string type.